Still time to send your tweets via the hashtag. Our final contest is 6 3-minute rounds of boxing in the super middleweight division. Introducing to you firstly, boxing out of the blue corner, wearing the blue colour shorts, trimmed with the Tarzan canvas and lime green. At the weight he scaled 11 stones, 7 pounds, 8 ounces, presenting from Rotherham, Serge Ambomo. And opposing him, boxing out of the red corner, wearing the black, green and white coloured shorts. At the weight he scaled 12 stone, 2 ounces. His excellent ring record thus far reads 22 contests, 21 wins. 17 of those wins coming by way of knockout with just a solitary defeat. He comes to the ring this evening as a former British title challenger and is a current WBC international champion from the Stephen Foster camp via his hometown here of Oldham, Kid Dynamite, Mark Heffron. Referee in charge of the action, Darren Sargent from Manchester.
Fellas, you both know the rules. Keep it clean. I don't want anything low. Watch your heads. When I say break, take a step back. Most importantly, defend yourself at all times.
Timekeeper Peter Humphrey, 6 3-minute rounds.
Here we go then. We touched on it as they made the way to the ring, but it's hard to see anything other than a war in there tonight between these two.
Yeah, Mark Heffron's on the comeback trail. The funny thing is, with the Liam Williams fight, he looked confidence throughout the build-up, but then in the fight week itself, he just seemed to the confidence drain from him when he realised he was facing a guy who'd been in with Liam Smith and had some real tussles with Smith.
Yeah, interesting to see how he settles into this one. A new experience for him, getting in the ring after suffering a defeat last time out. But it affects fighters in different ways, doesn't it? And interesting to see how it affects Mark.
Yeah, some fighters just brush it off. I think it was the nature of the defeat. He was dismantled and then taken out in 10 rounds. It was for the British middleweight title as well, so it was his first major title fight, so he'll have been really disappointed, I think, but it's just good that he's out relatively quickly again after that fight.
Yeah, and you can hear the crowd anticipating it to ignite this one.
It looks like he's trying to box to a plan at the moment, Heffron. I imagine that'll go out the window if and when he takes a punch in return. Yeah,
and we've seen him box at Leisure Centre before. He sells it out every time he comes here. The whole of Oldham seems to come and watch him.
Yeah, he's a well-supported character, and as we say, if you've got the support, you will get the title shots down the line. He knows Heffron that he's going to be in the mix again at some point. Hopefully this time it'll be a different scenario for him. He just took a bit more than he could chew against Williams on that particular occasion.
Yeah, and when you speak to fighters that suffer the first defeat, they say they learn lessons from that more so than they have in any other fight, and it'll certainly be the case for Mark. He changed camps after that loss, and interesting to see what Steve Foster's added to his game as well.
Yeah, no, I was ringside for the Williams fight. He just failed to fire all night, but people forget what an accomplished performer Williams is, and when the fight was first announced, people got caught up a bit in Heffron's punching power height, but Williams was always going to be a really big ask for him.
Yeah, and you've got to say credit to Mark for taking the fight as well, because there are a lot easier fights you could have took for that British title than Liam Williams, who's been there at world level. And like I said, he'll have learned a lot from that night.
Yeah, and it's not the worst thing in the world to lose to someone like that. Williams has gone on and will go on to fight for further titles as well, so everyone just needs to rebuild in places and fights like this and just make sure the mistakes that he made in that previous fight aren't replicated further down the line.
And like you said, with his support and his ability as well, there's no doubt that he will be back in title contention very soon. Get a couple of wins under his belt and then push on for those titles again.
Been a quiet opener so far. Everyone's just boxing behind the jab. They may have tried to get him to be a bit more patient in the gym, learn the lessons from previous performance. Maybe look at the performance from Williams as well.
Ambomo's looked good defensively so far in this opener. He's not taken too many shots. I mean, a good disciplined opening round this from Heffron. Just trying to find the range with that right hand. Come towards the close of the first round.
Yeah, as you say, it's been quiet. Ambomo's second quiet weekend in a row, but you think that something might have to erupt in the next couple of rounds?
Yeah, and you can see Mark's been sent out there to just work behind that jab in the opener and feel his way into it. know, it's a pretty decent round for Heffron, to be fair. He looked pretty comfortable at all times and didn't take any shots himself.
Like you say, he might be boxing to instructions. His corner may have sat down and analysed when he joined the new team and said you need to be able to perform to the instructions we give you, and that's what they've sent him out to do in this fight.
Yeah, he looks nice and calm and relaxed in that corner anyway. You know Mark's going to be in top shape when he gets in the ring, he always is. Quiet round for the referee as well. You know, some were expecting this to be a fight that could have been fought in a phone box. There's nice work behind that jab from Heffron.
Seconds out, round 2.
Yeah, he can box Heffron. People forget that when they're thinking about him in terms of his power. He has got nice boxing skills. He just needs to be able to adapt a little bit when he's facing adversity. He was unable to do that in his last fight, but I'm sure he's looked at that last fight and saw things that he could have changed on the night and will implement in further title fights.
Just missing wildly with that left hook to the body, Heffron. Gone quiet in here as everyone waits for one of those big right hands to land from Heffron.
Yeah, in a funny way, you expect the opponent to take the sting out of the crowd, but in many ways, Heffron's done it himself just by boxing conservatively in the first round. His fans waiting for those big punches to come. But there might be occasions where he has to just not think about what the fans want and think about what he needs in terms of what he needs to do in the ring.
Yeah, nice right hand to the body. He's landed a couple of shots with that right hand to the body in this second round. He seems to be thinking about his work a lot more than we've seen him do in previous occasions. Remember last time he boxed in, he got a bit carried away with the crowd and just looked to land big hooks and forced a stoppage.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to forget about what the crowd wants and just think about your own approach and what you're trying to gain from a particular fight. In some respects, Heffron's similar to Mark Thompson. He was another big puncher with a similar style, and sometimes Mark was found wanting sometimes when he steps up, and everyone won't want to be in that situation. He'll want to learn every single lesson he can from these previous fights. The only defeat he's had so far, and obviously the fight's moving forward.
Yeah, and if this one carries on in this fashion, it does go the distance. It'll be good rounds for Mark as well, just to settle back into boxing after that loss. He's not taken any time out from the game after that defeat. We see so many people do when they suffer the first loss. Straight back in there looking to right those wrongs.
Yeah, and he's quite athletic, Heffron, as well. I imagine he's not the type who would put on too much weight between fights when he's kept active and kept in the gym.
Nice work behind that jab again from Mark.
And possibly because of what Heffron's been doing Ambomo again for the second week in a row. We said he's looking very quiet and very unlike himself tonight. But that's the credit of what Heffron's doing behind the jab and just for the patience Heffron is showing.
Yeah, nice feints as well, just trying to bring an opening for himself. He's not looking to load up with his shots like we've seen him do in the past here, Heffron. Just looking to work behind that jab. He's probably the most composed we've seen him so far in his career tonight.
Yeah, and he lands a nice flashy little right uppercut there just to show that he's still got that versatility and power.
Yeah, and Ambomo keeps coming forward though. Mark's certainly not landed anything to discourage him so far in the opening 2 rounds.
So more of the same from Heffron, but it's good. He's showing patience. He's equally worried that he might, in the back of his mind, he might be worrying about letting the crowd down, but he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. And if the opportunity comes, he's a ruthless finisher, so there's no doubt he'll take it.
Yeah, you can see the corner are happy with the work he's doing. Certainly the plan they've sent him out to just use that jab. A couple of rounds in the bank here for Mark. And both men will be pretty happy with the way this has gone so far. And Ambomo's not had to take any big shots like he might have thought he would be, stepping in at late notice to fight Mark. And Mark's just cruising in his opening 2 rounds.
Yeah, and he's talking to his corner team and smiling as well, so he's obviously happy with the way things are progressing so far. As we say, bigger tests are going to come down the line for Heffron. Tonight it's just about getting the win and hopefully doing it in style, but however he gets the win, he'll be happy just to get out of here tonight. We're back on the winning trail and looking at titles again at some point, maybe later this year.
And he's not even broke a sweat in there so far, Mark. And exactly as we thought, at the end of the second he's carried on into the third, just using that jab. It's something we've we've seen Mark not use enough in the past. He's clearly been working on that jab in the build-up to this one.
Yeah, no surprise in the Williams fights. When he, like you say, in the past, when he has used his jab effectively, he's shown good ability behind the jab. Something I think that he needed to work on in previously, and he's just never had an opportunity to do it because sometimes the stop-start nature of his career. So hopefully, I think moving forward, if he works behind that jab, we know he's got power in both hands, and that's always going to be there for him. But there's other assets of his game that he can develop.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll be one of the big lessons he learned from that loss last time out. You can't just load up with every shot. Just looking to land that big right hand over the top.
Yeah, I think this is a point in the fight where he might want to start bringing other punches into the equation. He's softened his opponent up with the jab. Ambomo's not really showing any ambition to turn this into the war that people may have been expecting.
Yeah, and he's looked quite good defensively, Ambomo, so far. He did a good job against Jack Flatley last week just to get through the rounds and negate everything that Jack brought to the table. He's doing the same here with Mark.
Yeah, he probably knew that he was facing a big punch in Heffron, thinking about his next couple of fights that he'll have coming up. Ambomo, and just decided to cut his cloth accordingly.
Yeah, and he's shown a bit of ambition as well, Ambomo, at times, just flicking out that jab. You can see Mark's looking to set up that right hand now. Left up to the body landing. Yeah, and the crowd are just waiting for this one to ignite.
Yeah, there's a few people shouting for Heffron to be a bit more expansive with his attacks, but he's in there, he knows what he's doing. He's figuring it out as he goes along. Nice right uppercut, which he used the left up to disguise that.
Yeah, and I suppose it's one of the difficulties he's going to face because he's been so devastating on his way up to that fight with Liam Williams. People expect to see a stoppage every time they see Mark fight now.
Yeah, and it can't always happen. You've got to have performances where you have to go the distance, or you have to be a bit more circumspect. I'm sure his fans want to see him knock people out at this level, but they also want to see him win at title level as well, so they have to have a bit of patience and understand that it's a balancing act.
And Ambomo landed a decent left up when you were talking then. First decent shot he's landed. Comes towards the end of the third round here.
Yeah, and Heffron gave him a little nod of appreciation after taking the shot.
Yeah, and often it can just wake fighters up a little bit, can't they, when they've settled into a rhythm.
But again, another solid round for Heffron. Nothing, he took that one left up, but nothing too dramatic for him in that round.
Yep, 3 more rounds to go of action tonight. Comment on the Facebook stream and all the usual platforms. Hashtag VIP Boxing Live on Twitter as well. Been a great night of boxing so far with some top prospects up and down the card. Starting with Kane Gardner. Keith has impressed. Jake, everyone that's impressed tonight, haven't they, really, in different ways?
Yeah, it's been a good, like you say, good performances from the fighters on the left-hand side of the bill. Started off promisingly enough with the first fight of the night with Kane Gardner, and it's just developed on since then, and Heffron is doing a good boxing performance as well. There's still time for this one to catch fire. We've still got 3 rounds left, but it just looks like Heffron's been sent out to box to orders, and the not only prove something to himself, but maybe prove something to his new training team as well.
Yeah, and it's the first 3 rounds aren't going to win any awards for Fight of the Year, but he's certainly effective behind that jab tonight, Heffron. Just slowly getting the job done in there. Flicking that jab down to the body again. Been very tentative to throw that right hand in the opening 3 rounds.
Yeah, and I think that's what Ambomo's been stealing himself for, so Heffron may be wary of falling into a trap, but as we speak, he lands a decent right hand there, sorry.
Yeah, and that's the first big shot that Heffron's got through. Ambomo certainly felt that one. Set that right hand up really nicely. Found the target with it. He's used a lot more feints than we usually see Mark doing as well. You can see he's thinking about the work he's doing in there.
Yeah, probably moving forward, he wants to think about just not being crash, bang, wallop and developing his attacks more and disguising his attacks so that his power increases when he lands on his opponents and takes them unawares.
Yeah, and he's certainly showing skills he hasn't done before. Nice jab to the body. Well, Ambomo seems pretty comfortable at all times as well, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, as long as it stays like this, Ambomo will be confident of seeing the rounds through. It's if Heffron starts stepping it up a level that he might have something to worry about.
Ambomo just having a bit of trouble breathing out of that nose at the moment. He's dabbing at it a couple of times. I mean, certainly worth keeping an eye on.
Ambomo's corner calling for head movement, which is something that you would want to utilise against someone like Heffron in order to avoid those big bombs.
Yeah, Heffron switching southpaw during this fourth round. I think that just emphasises how comfortable he's feeling in there at the moment.
And as you mentioned, Ambomo bleeding from the nose, that seems to be bothering him a little bit.
Yeah, and he seems to keep dabbing at it. I think there's a little bit of a problem there. He's breathing out the mouth as well.
So Heffron might see the blood in the water and decide to step up his attacks in the next round, and obviously the final round as well.
Yeah, it must have been caused from a punch. They've not been close at all in this round. No holding or anything where the heads came close.
Yeah, it may have been the right hand.
Yeah.
The clean one earlier in the round may have caused the damage. That's been the cleanest punch of the contest so far, I think, in terms of power shots.
Wouldn't be surprised if that nose is broken from Ambomo the way he's dabbing at it. Someone of his experience will know when there's something wrong with the nose. It's not just bleeding. There's that right hand again from Heffron. Might just see him, like you said, step it up in the last two rounds. Now we've seen that. Ripping the uppercut in. And Ambomo come back with a shot of his own, though. End of the fourth round, and another one in the bank for Mark Heffron. Interesting to keep an eye on this corner here, see what they do with that nose. Ambomo doesn't seem too happy with it at all.
Yeah, as you say, it's obviously impeding his breathing. He's got 2 rounds to have to deal with it as well. So he'll want to avoid some of those big right hands because that's just going to exacerbate his problems.
Yeah, and I think we'll see Mark just step the tempo up a little bit here and just test the waters.
Yeah, you'd think if Heffron was going to go well for left, it would be this next round coming up with the nose injury that his opponent has sustained.
Yeah, it certainly shows the power that he carries. He's landed that one big right hand, and Ambomo's nose is in all sorts of trouble. You can see he's breathing heavily out of his mouth.
Round 5.
2 more to go this scheduled 6th rounder.
So they've cleaned up Ambomo's nose and sent him out for more of the same, but like you said, Ambomo landed a decent right hand towards the draw of the previous round as well, just to let everyone know that he was still there and still fighting.
Yeah, and as far as comeback fights go from, suffering your first defeat, it's been pretty good this from Mark.
Yeah, in many ways it's been ideal for Heffron. He's been able to come out, show that he can box, which people may have forgotten about over the course of his last fight. But he's also started to land some really crunching right hands in this round.
Corner calling for Ambomo just to keep walking forward. He's done a good job of buying himself a few seconds, hasn't he, while Mark's been boxing at range.
Yeah, he's just done the sensible thing. He knows he's in with a big punch, and if he tries throwing some big shots himself, he'll leave himself wide open. We're expecting this one to catch fire a little bit, but Heffron, I think, in some ways has been more impressive by not just coming out and trying to wipe someone out and actually trying to show his boxing ability.
A nice right uppercut landed through the guard of Ambomo. It's been a mature performance this so far from Heffron. He's not rushed any of his work, even when he has had a bit of success.
Yeah, and I think at this level, Heffron's capable of producing those performances. What he wants to be thinking of long term is just trying to bring this type of maturity into title fights and against people like Williams, who are actually going to come and give him plenty to think about.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quickly Mark gets back into title contention after tonight.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be some point this year. He's usually got an attractive style. He sells tickets as well, so you would be thinking of getting back into contention.
Yeah, and it'd be difficult to match him at this level if he doesn't step up. His next goal, a big right hand over the top. Ambomo certainly felt that one. Heffron just taking a step back to reset himself behind that jab.
Yeah, he certainly felt that one, like you said, Ambomo right on his injured nose as well, and another one. So the 1-2 is starting to work now for Heffron, and if he throws a left hook after the 1-2, we might see some real damage.
Yeah, he's done the simple things well tonight so far, Mark.
Yeah, it's been a back to basics performance, but I think that's what Heffron needed at this point. More so than a confidence boost, I think he just needed to remember what brought him success in his career in the first place.
Nice uppercut on the inside from Heffron. He's mixed it well on the inside when Ambomo has got close. Coming towards the end of this 5th round. Certainly another one in the bank for Mark Heffron. He's just quietly getting the job done in there tonight.
Yeah, and impressive. That's easily the most impressive round of the fight so far for Heffron. He's started to bring more power punches into it.
Yeah, big gulp of air as Ambomo went back into his corner there. Yeah, he's struggling with the shots that Mark's throwing, and it's natural power that he's got. You don't see it in many fighters where they put their opponents in the shell straight away with those big shots that they've thrown. And there's a kind of fear when you see Mark in the ring as well from his opponents.
Yeah, because on paper he's got that power. Obviously the one person who didn't have that fear was his last opponent, Williams, and that's something that he needs to work on, how to, if the opponent's not beating before the first bell, how he has to go about establishing himself and imposing his will on those types of opponents, which is something he'll learn over time.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's just got the job done. Ambomo's got 3 more minutes to survive of this one. Yeah, well, we said it in the second round. Mark will be quite happy to get the 6 rounds under his belt as well if this one does go the distance.
Yeah, the ideal scenario obviously for him is that he stops Ambomo in this final rounds, and he's got the 5 previous rounds and can get back on the knockout trail again. But he'll be happy with whatever result as long as it's a winning one.
Yeah, and I know Mark's had a few issues with his hands over the years, but they seem to have settled down now, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, and that's always the curse of the power puncher, is that it can lead to hand problems.
Still flicking out that jab. Well, Ambomo will be really happy if he can see the final bell here. But like I said earlier, Mark's been using that jab, but he's done quite well to get out of the way of those right hands from Mark. Only a couple have landed over the top.
And you can still see the concentration on the face of Heffron. He's still thinking about what he's doing in there in terms of his performance, and it's reflecting well.
Ambomo just dabbing at that nose again. Still struggling with it.
And the fans can, obviously, they've not had the chance to enjoy a knockout from Heffron thus far, but they can erupt at the end of the fight. They'll just be happy, I think, to see the local boy get back into winning ways.
Yeah, and he's not been in trouble at any point during the fight. He's looked comfortable throughout, even when Ambomo landed a couple of shots of his own.
I see both men traded right hands just then. That's what we expected to see in the first round, but it's coming late on in the final one.
Yeah, Mark's stalking Ambomo now. Nice foot movement as well from Heffron so far tonight. He's got in and out of range nicely.
Yeah, he's got good fundamentals, Heffron. If you took the power out of the equation, you'd say he had everything to be a decent boxer. But then when you add the power, as long as he remembers the fundamentals, then he should have everything he needs to progress and do well.
Yeah, and he's shown us a few different things tonight that we don't tend to see when Mark gets in the ring. The most important thing, he's clearly learnt the lessons that he had to after that last fight with Liam Williams.
Turns southpaw, as you mentioned before, again breathed to them and lands a left hand.
Yeah, lovely left hand landed from the southpaw stance right on that injured nose of Ambomo. 30 seconds left to go with this one. It's been an accomplished performance so far from Mark Heffron. Not rushed any of his work, pitched his shots nicely, and he's just cruised through the 6 rounds.
Yeah, and it's a good base for him to build on in terms of future fights. He can look back on this, reflect on his performance, and hopefully get out ASAP again.
Yeah, and he'll certainly be looking to get out as soon as he can.
And after that success as the southpaw, he stays there until the end of the fight.
Yeah, and you can see he's pretty happy as well. That's a good performance from Mark Heffron. New team will be happy as well. Steve Foster in that corner, just getting in the ring. Slowly got the job done in there. Nothing to write home about, but he's back to winning ways, and that's the most important thing for Mark.
It's not the most scintillating performance in his career, but it was a solid one.
Darren Sargentson totting up his scorecard. No doubt in our minds it's going to be a shutout for Heffron, but we've seen a couple of strange scorecards so far tonight. Very surprised if we see anything else though. MC Michael passes in the ring for the final time tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of super middleweight action, referee Darren Sargentson for our final contest has scored it 60 points to 54 points for your winner. On his return, Mark Heffron. Your appreciation, please. A tough man indeed. Serge, Ambomo.
There we have it then.
That concludes our boxing action. We're out next week in Doncaster. Join us live on VIPboxing.tv or at 10. Thank you. Over to the commentators. Good night.
Well, there we have it then, and it turned out to be a good night of boxing, that, and a few standout performances. For me, Kane Gardner looked brilliant. Akeem Fiaz, you don't get many better debuts than that. Mark Leach as well. Seb Eubank, of course, a host of talent on the show.
Yeah, Jack Kilgannon looked really good as well, really effective in his performance, and we've seen Mark Heffron get back. He's got back with a win, but he's also putting a nice boxing performance as well, which might be even more pleasing for him. And I believe he's going to have a word with John Evans shortly after making his way through his Flonga fans.
Yeah, he's been mobbed by his fans again, like Akeem was before. Mark's getting back in the ring for a few photos, like is customary after the fights now, with his WBC Intercontinental title that he's just thrown on the floor.
Yeah, he's dropped the title on the floor. That's the only mistake he's made tonight. It's been a steady performance for the Methadon. He'll be happy with that. His fans might have wanted him to produce a thrilling knockout, but you can't always have a Hollywood-style finish to a fight.
Next up for VIP, of course, our final event of March. We're in Doncaster next week at the racecourse. Reece Mould, unfortunately, he won't be fighting for the English title on that card, but still plenty of talent on Bob Ajisafe, Zishan Khan, Lewis Sylvester, Dex Spellman, and a couple of other fighters on there, so certainly worth tuning into that one and watching on all the usual platforms. Mark with his fans, you can see, by side of the ring, and it's been a good few weeks for VIP, hasn't it? We've had some great performances over the 3 weeks, Liverpool, Bolton, and now here in Oldham. Yeah,
everyone's ticking over nicely. We've seen that Steve has got a couple of ticket sellers as well, and we know that Steve does love a ticket seller, and the good thing is if people see performances like this, as we saw early on from the debutant, then people will go out and buy tickets to the shows, and it just keeps grassroots boxing alive. I know a lot of people expect to see title fights and the type of stuff that you see at the world level, but people forget that at the grassroots level you need shows like this in order to keep the sport functioning and alive.
Yeah, and the tickets are sold well for all 3 shows. We've had big numbers watching on all the streams as well. There's been a lot of talent across the 3 shows. We start with Liverpool with a great night of boxing. Steve Brogan stand out for me that night. He looked brilliant there.
John Evans almost had to turn into a roving reporter there because Mark Heffron's still with his fans, but I believe he's being brought over to John now for a few words to talk about his performance.
Yeah, just posing for a couple more photos and then we'll finally be able to grab Mark. It's always difficult getting fighters after they get out of the ring for interviews, isn't it? They just want to be with the fans and enjoy the moment, but I think Mark's on his way.
Yeah, the adrenaline and the adulation kick in and can be a bit of a distraction. But I think his fans will be as happy as everyone is, just that he's back winning again. They'll be looking ahead to big title fights further down the line, and they'll be looking forward to getting out here to support him for this next fight, so I imagine he'll be out as quickly as possible again.
Yeah, and we finally grab Mark and hand over to John Evans, have a few words with him.
Well, Mark, how good does that feel, back in the winning column?
Yeah, it feels good, especially back in my hometown, in front of all my own people. Yeah, it's a good steady 6 rounds there. I wanted the rounds, so I went in and just took my time, looked off the jab. Yeah, got a good 6 rounds in.
That's what I was impressed with, Mark. You know, your fans probably came expecting the old Mark Heffron bombs away, but you was thinking about it, you was patient, your right hand was landing, but you was taking your time with it and setting it up.
Well, he hurt him a few times and I could have gone straight through with it and finished him, but just took my time. I need the rounds and just get another couple of them in and I'll be ready to go again.
Is that patience and stuff something you learnt since the Williams fight? You know, taking your time and making this right hand, because your right hand's a fight end, doing it. Just making it pay when you throw it.
Well, that's one of the most things that I've been working on with Steve Foster now. Just taking my time and obviously not loading up and that. Just working off my jab. But that's something that I've not really used much before, my jab.
How's it been with Steve? You know, it's been all changed since the Williams fight. Are you happy there, settled now?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it with Steve. It's a good laugh in the gym. Obviously, when we're working hard, but yeah, I'm enjoying it, yeah.
Brilliant. Back in title contention soon, Mark. Well done. Rebecca's over there saying, go and see her.
Yeah.
Well.
Nice one. Thank you, and thank you for all the people that come down.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's the end of the show. We hope you've enjoyed it tonight. Plenty of good fights. Yeah. Mark Heffron topping the bill in his hometown, always a good atmosphere. See you soon on VIP ringside.
Yeah.